St Andrew's Church, the Minster Church of Plymouth, in the centre. It has been here for centuries and it is still an active church today. All old buildings have got secrets, and I'm sure this church has got quite a few. Let's go and look at some of the things that most people would never look at. Beautiful church, bombed in the war. We're going to start by walking around the back of the church through this little entrance here. Once you come around here, it becomes peaceful, very, very quiet. Once you walk up the steps, if you look at your feet, you realise we're walking on history. These are actually gravestones. This one says entrance to John something. This other one here says entrance also. I can't make it out though, I'm afraid. As we walk along, we can read some of them. Rolf Ord Smith, Elizabeth Smith, faded by the passage of time and human feet. This is a one here, it's a bit easier. John Moore, surgeon of this town, 1796, and his family. I've just taken away some leaves. John Moore, surgeon of this town, died 1796, and his family. He would be a man of some standing. And as we walk along here, there are other ones. We are walking on the history of Plymouth and the history of our own ancestors. This is the one I like. Here is the land where troubles cease, where toils and fears are no more. The sunny clime of rest and peace, where cares, distress are no more. Words to one of our ancestors. Nothing could be further from the Blitz today, walking through here in the sun. So quiet, beautiful. But as in Plymouth's history, there are secrets everywhere. I'm coming up to the front door of the church now, the main entrance, and above us is the famous plaque, now in stone, originally in wood, Resurgam. I will arise, I have arisen to rise. Apt words for a church that was blitzed out of existence in World War II, has been rebuilt and is now as strong and as good as ever. While we have been remembering the dead of centuries ago, we must not forget the more recent dead, especially those who died in conflict defending our right to be free. All around we have a new city, but the city's foundations are built in history. And again at St Andrew's Church, without looking too hard, we can see remains of the time the church was blitzed. Shrapnel marks now filled in here. And when we go around here, another one 2 and 3. Now a city at peace. Just a quick look along Royal Parade for those who may not have been here for a very, very long time. It's time now to go inside the church. Thank you. Here we are, it's beautiful.
Isn't it?
Coleman Serenity. But we have to go underground.
Well, goodness me. Entrance to the vault of W.H. Bailey, Esquire, Stonehouse. Now, I'm not sure if they're the Baileys that own the Island House, but if they are, they've owned the Island House for at least 300 years. And Richard Bailey is currently a director of the Plymouth Barbican Trust. And the family had timber yards, and the Bailey family also built Tor House, which is now Tor Home for the Blind, and lived there for many years. In fact, it's where the first telephone in Britain, in the world, was ever installed. So, need to find out who W.H. Bailey of Stonehouse was and what his family was. What have we got behind me? Behind me, we have a memorial to Elizabeth Cornthwaite Maxwell. Sometimes you've got to hold the light in a way that creates the shadows better. Who died 11th of May 1842, aged 83. Therefore, we should be able to find her. Slightly more, and another Maxwell, and Elizabeth, is that Maxwell? Died, can't quite make out the date. Aged, oh, that's not in good condition. Margaret Gandy, daughter of the Reverend John Gandy, vicar of this parish, and Margaret, his wife, on the September 1867, aged, I think that's 80-something years. R.I.P. And the third is another incumbent of here, I believe. Vault belonged to the Reverend J. Hatchard. Anne Hatchard, born 29th of May 1789, died February 1868, aged 79. I don't think there's any other lettering on that one.
Arched at the top, isn't it, Chris? That's an arch.
There is an arch. There's a spider right in front of me.
Is there an arch on the other one as well, Chris? On your...
That goes in. I can see there's something behind there, but there's about 6 inches before you go all the way in.
Is that an arch there as well?
Yeah. Well, it's certainly an entrance because the arrangement of the brick.
And there's an arch on your behind you also.
So we look as though we have 3. Yeah, indeed there is. It looks as though we've got 3 ways out of here. It's just a question of where any of them go.
Or as I would say, 3 ways into here.
Indeed, that's right. 3 ways in. Well, 4 altogether.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. 2 weeks have gone past since we were last here. It took a little bit more effort to get in than we'd have thought. Unfortunately, neither Phil Photiou or myself were able to actually enter, but luckily we bumped into Chris Robinson, who has a more athletic figure than either of us, and he was able to be successful in entering. What must be of real interest though now is this the entrance to what was the crypt of St Andrews that has not been seen since the Blitz? Or is it the entrance to 3 vaults going off ahead, left and right? Either way, it's not been seen by the public, and that's you and me, for many, many years. We have to wonder what secrets are behind. If it does lead into the crypt of St Andrews, then we may have underneath there, behind there, the history of Plymouth, Civil War and other things. The tombstones of people who made Plymouth. Let's just see what happens over the years. Maybe one day a way will be found to get through that wall and just see what lies behind. It may be better to say that the history of Plymouth is not so much on the walls of St Andrews, bearing in mind that many of these plaques came from other places, St Andrews losing much of what was here. This history on the wall is only part of the story. Maybe there's much more history under the floor.